uncanny, or the Uncanny Valley. It's probably a word you've heard of or seen, especially more in the horror space, but what does it actually mean? And can we make any sort of sense of it? Uncanny, according to the Britannica definition dictionary, means strange or unusual in a way that is surprising or difficult to understand, especially in an unsettling way. The term was initially coined by psychiatrist Ernest Jenst in his 1906 essay titled On the Psychology of the Uncanny. In this work, Jenst delineated the concept of the uncanny, known as unheimlich in German, unhomely, as something novel and unfamiliar, often carrying negative connotations. However, Sigmund Freud's 1919 essay, The Uncanny, reshaped it, defining it as a phenomenon wherein something can be simultaneously recognizable and alien. Freud proposed that unheimlich stood in direct contrast to heimlich, which could signify both homeliness and familiarity, as well as secrecy, concealment, or privacy. According to Freud, unheimlich went beyond mere unfamiliarity. It also unearthed concealed or suppressed elements, leading to a sense of fear and discomfort. He referred to it as that category of fear which recalls what is ancient and long familiar. This uncanny feeling that we get is when something is just off. Picture walking alone at night on an unfamiliar road and a stranger approaches. Is it just a harmless passerby, or could it be something more? This feeling taps into our natural instinct for safety. As social creatures, we've always relied on each other. We have achieved everything in our history by working together. The campfire meant protection from the wilderness and the dangers from outside. And if we were caught outside alone in the dark, it may have meant we'd never return. That feeling of unease in a place where we are is unsafe. We see that use of that uncanny feeling in media. Things like The Thing, the blizzarding darkness of outside in the Arctic, or Alien. The Sulaco, a metal husk that only inches outside, is the vast nothingness of space, where the outside is just as dangerous, if no more, than the inside. At least in here we can hide from it. But right now we're just talking about places, environments. What about people? Things. This is an unsettling face, but can we tell why? It looks almost human at a glance, but you know it isn't. The Uncanny Valley, used in reference to the phenomenon whereby a computer-generated figure or humanoid robot bearing a near-identical resemblance to a human being arouses a sense of unease or revulsion. In 1970, robotics professor Masahiro Mori published an essay called Energy. In this, he hypothesized that the relation of an object's degree of resemblance to a human being and the emotional response to said object. The Uncanny Valley refers to the point where our emotional response to robots, which appear almost human, turns negative. The emotional response is intensified by the robot's movements. Mori's original hypothesis states that as a robot's appearance becomes more and more human-like, some people will respond with increasing positivity and even empathy, until a point is reached where the response suddenly turns to one of strong revulsion. However, when the robot's appearance becomes even more indistinguishable from a human being, the emotional response becomes positive once again, approaching levels of empathy seen in human-to-human interactions. This phenomenon is presented as the valley, hence the trough. A thing looking almost human except slightly off fills us with unease, unnatural movements, the face. In an attempt to pass off as human, it comes off as less human. A replica looks like a human at a glance, but after a quick couple seconds, the cracks begin to show. Now, both of these subjects, the uncanny and the uncanny valley, are both creepy in their own right, but when both used can make for an absolutely terrifying experience. And in my opinion, the best piece of media that exemplifies both of these traits more than anything is Silent Hill. Now, the original trilogy has been discussed and dissected to death. But the aspect that relates to the uncanny and its valley is what I want to focus on here. Silent Hill on its own is creepy. The foggy town, isolated and dark, with monsters creeping around just outside our field of view. The enemies themselves being nightmare fuels for generations.
考える上でまず最初にテーマとしたことが人間のパーツをモンスターのどこかに必ず取り入れてでそこからプレイヤーがモンスターを見てできるだけ元は人なんだっていうところを想像させた上でそこでモンスターが人間とはちょっと違う例えば体が折れすぎてしまうとか這いつくばって早く移動するであるとかそういうギャップにしたんで例えば酔っ払ってる人とかは普段とちょっと違う動きとかしますよね。そういう意味ではそれに類する例えばなんかちっちゃい子が頭が大きいからバランス崩して歩くとかそういったのを主に参考に。
The movements and animation of these monsters are so unnerving, so unnatural. We know it isn't human, but it looks so much like one, and in the fog it could be mistaken as such. But when getting too close or trapped in a room with them, we see what they truly are and the danger they pose.
Killing a person ain't no big deal. Just put the gun to their head. Pow!
Another prime example which touches on the Uncanny Valley is the FMVs. The FMVs in Silent Hill 2 in particularly are made out to be eerie and unnerving as possible. The stilted yet great acting, the vagueness of it all.
She doesn't look like a teenager.
It's not, usual teenagers. One has something, I think, and I try to, I try to make her face special, has something inside. Then, that's why I made, these lines, these shadows. She has a kind of a Schwarzenegger mouth, and try to make her face animation, a little bit uncomfortable.
Lost?
Every person we meet gives us as much questions as answers, and we can't even trust if what they're saying is even believable, or even if they themselves can be trusted.
Mary?
No, you're not.
Do I look like your girlfriend?
No, my late wife. I can't believe it. You could be her twin. Your face, your voice, just your hair and clothes are different.
My name is Maria. I don't look like a ghost, do I?
Can we even be trusted? Are we seeing everything correctly? What is actually going on here? It toys and plays with your mind, lingers in there and makes it easy to feel unsure about our own selves. The datedness of the graphics may have something to do with it, but I say it's in its favor. For example, the graphics of Silent Hill 1 are terrifying. They leave more to the imagination, and we want to turn away from whatever we're seeing, looking at it for how nasty and repulsive it is. We can't help but look and fill in the gaps with our own mind. Similar to how the vague outline of clothes on a chair can look like an intruder or a ghost staring at us at night. Come on, we've all been there. Now, on its own, this is all scary enough, but why? Why do we find this terrifying? One hypothesis that encompasses all of these theories is that there's an evolutionary reason as to why. The first theory is that we have this gained from a survival instinct as a way to avoid pathogens. Those who are sick do share some of these uncanny traits. The visual quirks from androids, robots, and other animated human characters cause reactions of alarm and revulsion, similar to corpses and skeletons that could carry all kinds of illnesses, as well as humans who are visibly diseased. When learning that someone is sick, we have a similar repulsive response. Not necessarily that the person themselves is repulsive, but that we don't want to get sick ourselves. And back in the Stone Age, getting a light cough might as well have meant your last days on Earth. Some theories feed off of this, saying it might also have been a form of mate selection. It could work as a cognitive response of avoidance from selecting mates with low fertility, poor hormonal health, or ineffective immune systems, based on the visible features of the body and face that are similar. Another theory is that the uncanny in the Uncanny Valley serves almost as a sixth sense. Let me explain. Why do things that should be funny, like clowns, often strike us as eerie instead? That this unsettling feeling arises because it digs at our hidden fears. When we encounter something that is supposed to be familiar, yet it's subtly off, it creates a kind of discord in our mind. Like again, clowns may seem playful, but underneath their exaggerated features, maybe something unsettling lurks. This triggers an instinctive fear response as our brains grapple with the disparity between what we can see and what we can expect. Does this person's intentions mean to harm me in any way? Similar to when people wear masks. You can't tell who they are underneath, and you don't know what they're thinking. You don't know what they're planning. You don't know what they could do to you. You may have come across these images at some point. They're interesting to think about and see, but is there any actual basis to it? Now, think about this. Maybe our ability to tell the difference between ourselves and those who look a lot like us is something we developed over time. Again, like an evolutionary survival skill. There's more to this story. We've been discovering other human-like species like the Homo florensis in recent times, and it makes you wonder if there may have been other undiscovered species out there. For example, the Neanderthals, another similar ancestors to the Homo sapiens. The Uncanny Valley concept doesn't just apply to humans, it also applies to animals. Animals have similar reactions to other similar replicas of them. Now, when you apply this to animals, and you look through human mythology and folklore, all throughout history, all over the world, countless tales of shape-shifting monsters that hunt us down, eat us. Easily, images of the skinwalkers and the Wendigo come to mind. For instance, they can turn into animals with eerily human-like eyes or make human-like noises to draw in their prey, only to strike when they least expect it. And those that go out looking into the woods for them never return. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm no card-carrying scientist or anything. This is just a theory. It doesn't mean it's true, but it doesn't mean it isn't either.